Hey, welcome to HeKate's Crossing. I'm Paula, by the way. Thank you for joining me. Today I want to look at tarot decks that I have collected that actually have decent sort of guidebooks with them. They're not the little white books. They are actual guidebooks that come in the pack, so to speak, or that you can buy separately in some cases as well. So what I want to do is start with my very first deck, which was the Native American Tarot. Okay, so I'm not looking at the deck, I'm looking at the guidebook, okay? So the guidebook that came with it, Star Spider Speaks, okay? The Teachings of the Native American Tarot. So that's Magda Witt Gonzalez, okay? She's Star Spider Woman, and J.A. Gonzalez, Rattling Bear. Okay, this is the US Games, and the tarot deck itself has changed in regards to the card stock. Okay, but the book itself, absolutely brilliant. Really connecting, and I love the way she, that's put here in the front. We gratefully acknowledge the help, support, and stories given to us by our friends in the Native American and metaphysical communities. The sources of some of these stories are obscure, as they were given to us orally, but wherever possible we have included published sources as we found them. If we have failed to provide proper acknowledgement for any of these, we regret the admission and render here our heartfelt apologies. I just think it's just so beautifully written. It's just gorgeous. So the front of this book, as you can see, it's got this ceremonial buffalo skull. So there's a lot of black and white sketches throughout the book as well, which I think is just beautiful, as you'll see. And then it's got quite a lot in the book. It's got, with the contents, we've got a foreword, a time of blendings, the higher arcana. So it lists each of the major arcana. And then it's got the lower arcana, so it's got the court cards to begin with, and then it goes into the 10s, the 9s, the 8s, the 7s, the 6s, the 5s, the 4s, the 3s, 2s, and 1s. So it does each number as it goes through. Then it's got card spreads, then it's got a whole bunch of meditations that you can do, and visualizations, and then Appendix A, Appendix B, bibliography, and an index at the back as well, which is interesting. So we've got beautiful picture imagery here. Again here we've got the foreword about what the Native American is. The Native American Tarot is an expression of the great vision of Magda Witt Gonzalez, Star Spider Woman, as seen through the illustrations of J.A. Gonzalez, his Rattling Bear. The cards illustrate facets of Native American life from Turtle Island, now called America, and so it goes on. I just think it's just this is the first tarot deck that I found actually spoke to me. Now, I don't know why there was this connection, whether it was a past life or an ancestral connection on some level, but it is the only deck I felt I could read with comfortably. I looked at other images and nothing spoke to me. I picked up a girlfriend's deck that she had. I looked at some of her other decks as well, and this deck just spoke to me profusely. I picked it up, I laid it out, and just went blah 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 about whatever was going on. She was like, "Oh my God, you're so right. That's your own deck." Picked it back up off me. She goes, "Now go buy your own," because she wanted the deck herself, so she was like, "Go buy your own." So I just thought that was really beautiful, really cool starting. So we've got Star Spider Woman. This one would speak. Gitab il Wahala. We enliven your spirit with the gift of this knowledge. Now, I'm sorry, my language is not perfect, of course, my pronunciations, but I just love the way that is through this is a lot of thought gone into the way that it's done through the back design. In keeping with our universal Native American motif, we have chosen a conglomerate design for the backs of the tarot cards. The primary design comes from part of the Navajo sand painting. The 4 cardinal directions are represented by the cross in the middle. Each path is walked by 2 Kachinas, spirits of growth and plenty. They are black and white, day and night, male and female, and they hold spruce branches, symbols of the tree of life, on each path. On the top and the bottom, a Pueblo sky spirit frames a rising crescent sun, which is eclipsed by a Tlingit raven. And then you've got like the higher arcana, and then the spiral of the shaman. The shaman walks a spiral path, a cyclone path into the eye of the storm, into the void of creation to be renewed, the path of shadows, the path of secrets, the path of deep waters, a master of the mystery path, a mistress of the silent path. All they know they cannot tell. They would not if they could, for then no mysteries would be left, no shadows, no secrets, no silence. The shaman walks a spiral path, reborn by the light of the sun, recharged by the dark of the moon. Star Spider Woman and Rattling Bear. So what I love about this book is it has a lot of, you're looking at the traditional and the Native American, and as they go through the book and you see like the prayer summoning the novice, all those sort of things come up, but they have just amazing information that is so interesting, and it can relate to different tarot decks as well. You know, just talk about different gods and goddesses, different aspects of Native American teachings, incantations, a remembering. It's just beautifully written. It's just a lot of information that is so helpful as you go through the book. Now there's a little black and white image in the corner, which I think is absolutely brilliant. As you can see, there's quite a lot of information, a good page and a half per, or over 2 pages per card for the major arcana, which I think is absolutely so much information, and lots of lots of teachings through the book, which I just love. Absolutely love this book and reference it all the time. Take my time out, have a read through, just enjoy the teachings. And like even with the at the end of the world, we go into element Bible totems. So like element water, Bible totem is eagle, Native American tarot is the sea, and Kentucky Shawnee is thunderbird. Then we have fire, which is lion, the stars, cougar, or comet. Then we've got earth, bull, the turtle, tree man, ear, angel, the sky, and cyclone woman. So I love that. It's just like so much information. It's got a prayer dismissing the novice as you start to move into higher. Now it's in both 2 different languages, of course, in English. And here we have the Arapaho Sundance Song, okay, which I think is gorgeous. Then you've got the lower arcana and how it explains the different names, the ear, the direction, the animal, and some keywords as well. Then it's got the 4 tribal figures that they use, like instead of the queen, it's the matriarch, instead of the king, it's the chief, instead of the knight, the warrior, the page, the maiden. Okay, each court card represents an element, and each element is divided into 4 sub-elements, such as Crowley. So this is a very sort of Thoth-based deck, and I don't know why this was the deck that I was drawn to, which is why I think I love Thoth as well. So there's a lot of information in regards to that. They talk about matriarchs being the power within, the chiefs being the power potential, warriors the power activate. So you can see there's a lot of information in this Native American tarot book, which I think is beautifully well written. A lot of information. Again, you go into the matriarchs, has a little teaching, a verses that you can say, you can speak out loud. Then it talks about each matriarch, and again it's page and a half each one, which I think is really cool. And you go into chiefs, and so you can see, and then you're going into the minors, and the minor, I think you might be close to a page per minor, which I think is really cool as it goes through, and it talks about each number, and so there's a lot of, oh, and then you got lots of spreads. I mean, they really do cover a lot of spreads, like the Kachina knife spread, one of my favorites, which is really cool. The medicine wheel spread. Now this is a seasonal wheel spread, so it looks at winter, spring, summer, and fall, as well as some other bits and pieces to the spread. So you like that. And then there's the native cross card spread, Aztec pyramid, the shining star, the horns card, which is actually 6 cards but in 3 positions, which I think is really cool. And then we're going into the meditations, as I said. So you read this through. You could maybe tape it onto a tape, record it. Everything we've got the in the meditations talk about things like this is like the full. Okay, the scent is tobacco. So your color is black. Your meditation, I find myself. Affirmation, I create a new self. I have the power to be visible or invisible as I choose. This is why this book is such a good reference book. Like, even though I can read the cards and everything like that, I always come back to the book because there's so much information about it. Then it talks about visualizations, and you can use a proper visualization layout, which is like a medicine wheel, which I just think is just superb. So there's one for love, one for health, prosperity, contentment, abode, for justice, for enlightenment. So they actually have meditations. One for wisdom, which I think is really cool, this little farewell thing. Then we got the appendixes, so it talks a bit more about relations among the higher arcana cards. Appendix B is universal correlations with the higher arcana cards. And then you look at, like here, we've got Native American symbology with the Native American tarot and the totems. We might have plants, stones, and tool of focus. We've got musical keys, which is really interesting. So you can really start to explore that within a shamanic journey if you wish to. Meditation points and chakra colors, it explains it. Then it's got Aztec deities with Aztec day signs, Pueblo Kachina spirits and deities, Kichimans. You've got classical Greek figures, classical Roman figures, Egyptian deities, alchemy, color, and planet. I mean, look, it just goes on and on and on. You know, it's just amazing. Here you've got Tibetan Book of the Dead, the Chinese gods, I Ching even correlates to the I Ching. You know, 22 mages, Arthurian legends, Norse deities, Celtic deities, runes. So they've included so much information, and of course at the back she's got a bibliography with all the other references and things that which are interesting to look at. And then there's an index if you want to look up something particular, which is really cool, and some partner notes, which of course I don't use because I write everything in a separate book. So this, to me, I know I've spent like 12 minutes looking at this book here, Star Spider Speaks, The Teachings of the Native American Tarot, but I think for a reference book, absolutely brilliant to look further in. Okay, so let's look at some of the other, now if you go right away at Smith, I think the Gilded Tarot is definitely, or you've got the Gilded Tarot, I think this is a really good sort of, quite a cool little book, and I love the way, it's another Barbara Moore written book. I think any of her books that she's written give us a wealth of information in regard to what the card looks like, and gives us a little bit more information. And of course you've got the spreads, a 3-card of course, and the Body, Mind, Spirit, which is again 3-card. Choices spread, 3-card. Before we're going into the Celtic Cross, which I think is quite cool, you've got a daily spread, which is like a 5-card spread. So I think this is another little, the Gilded Tarot, which I haven't really dived into yet, which I'm looking forward to. Now, if you want to look at angels, of course, you've got Radley Valentine. They've of course got a bigger angel book, but if you're looking at that, I think this is quite a good little book when you look at the different angels. Talks a little bit more. The big book does talk a little bit more, but it does give you a little bit about the archangel used in the book, which I think is quite cool. So I think that is quite a good deck or a good book to have that comes with the deck. Now, the Starman Tarot. Now I know there's bigger books available with the bigger sets if you've bought them, really cool. But I still think this little book has quite a bit of information about the deck itself, how it was created, the spreads. I'm going to be careful not to go into it. Yeah, it is unfortunate. Well, it's not unfortunate, but it does have the other languages in it as well, of course. But it does give you some good spreads, and it does give you a little bit of a thought about what the author has intended for the card, like the affirmation, which I think is quite nice, the affirmation. So again, I think there's another book that you can reference if you're looking for an affirmation in regard to the card, which I think is quite cool. Now you've got, let's have a look, another one I got here was the Circle of Life Tarot. Again, you've got multi-languages with different spreads in it, which is quite cool, with a couple of spreads in it. And again, you're looking at the imagery, and it gives you some quite good little bit of information coming through, which I think is quite cool. So that's the Circle of Life Tarot. Now you've got the Dragon Tarot. It's okay. It's an okay book. It's got some great spreads in it. It's beautifully written. It's beautifully coloured. There's quite a lot of information in regards to like the 4 elements. Talks about the major arcana and mythic dragons. Really sort of could dive a bit more into this. Elements, how to lay out the cards. Does give you some 3-card spreads, which I think is really cool. 5-card Anno Romani 7-card pyramid spread I think is really cool before it gets into the Ouroboros spread or the classic 10-card Celtic spread. So I think it's quite good that it's not just the Celtic, that it's got the other spreads in it too, which is quite beautifully done. Does give you some keywords, does give you, so I think this is a really good reference book, like something if you want something a little bit short, a little bit quick. This is quite a good quick book as well. It's not too in depth if you're wanting to sort of understand the cards a little bit. Doesn't really tell you about the imagery, but it definitely gives you some information. So I think the Dragon Tarot is quite a good book. Now you've got the Animal Wisdom Tarot by Dawn Brunk, which of course I know has changed its name to the Spirit Animal Tarot. So I think that's the Spirit Tarot or something, Spirit Wisdom Tarot, or the Animal Spirit Tarot or something. Animal Spirit Tarot, I think it's called. So this is an inspiration guide to use tarot card, and I like this because it talks about the actual animals. So again, you've got a good book that comes in with coloured imagery, talks about what's tarot wisdom. So again, I think this is quite good. Another book that you can sort of dive into with some good spreads, but also because you're wanting to learn about the actual animals and what they mean as well. So it talks about like the coyote's appearance signals enthusiasm, ingenuity, and novel perceptions. So it sort of goes into a bit more about the animals. So I think this is quite a good little animal book if you want to just a little reference one, nothing too major. It's just quite a short little bit of information. So a deck that I bought separately was the Mother Piece, and I bought the book because I got the mini one. I got the mini Mother Piece, and I think a lot of her books are separate. I mean, it does come with a little white book as well, but I think for buying a guidebook, I think this is really cool because it talks about the goddess history, the Mother Piece Tarot. It also talks about how to use the tarot, of course, a full layout. It's got some good spread. It's got mother piece meaning. So it talks about more about the major. So it's only sort of like this book here only has like a full layout. Doesn't really have a lot, but it does have the meanings, and it does, because it's a round deck, it can be used upright, left, right, and reverse. So it does give you quite a good information. It's very specific to this deck in particular, so it is something that you sort of got to dive a bit deeper into. Mother Piece Tarot. Now Nina from Shuffle Tarot has done an excellent playlist in regard to the Mother Piece Tarot, so I totally recommend Nina from Shuffle Tarot in regards to that. Now Tori Hartman's Chakra Wisdom Tarot, yes, this tarot is slightly different in the way you've got this young girl being the Fool and how she journeys through the cards. But the book does a really good job of explaining that. It does take some time to really sort of get in there and really start working with it. And I know that I do need to actually spend a few weeks actually diving deep into this deck. So Chakra Wisdom Tarot Guidebook. This I think comes with, of course it comes with the deck. She has got her Chakra Wisdom Oracle card, her Chakra Oracle cards that Tori's done, and I think I would like to add them to my collection at some stage, but I just haven't, because I've got a lot of other stuff that I need to sort of dive in regards to chakras, so I really got to dive into this first, I think. Right, now the other deck I've got, of course, is the Santa Muerte Tarot. Now the Santa Muerte Tarot is very unique in some of its approach, in the way it is has been created. Now the difference with this one is that it has the different spreads, of course, but it's also got the advice of the dead, and I think that's what makes this deck quite unique. So I think the book is a really good reference. Like, yes, you can read without that information, but to really get to know it, I think that's another aspect. Of course, this book's got all the different languages again in it, but I really love that whole that advice of the dead. I think that sort of really adds a different level to the reading, so that's really cool. Now the last one I've got here for a guidebook that I really want to dig more into. I've sort of started, and I know I need to sort of continue. And Sanskrit Blue, as you know, Natalie, she's done an excellent Muriel Tarot Landscapes of the Abyss sort of work through. So she's been working through that, which has been absolutely amazing to work through. This is an incredible book. Again, I think it's about diving deep into some of these guidebooks when you've got them, and I think it's about working with a lot longer than I have been. Even though I can read with the cards and use them, and I think with Muriel it is about diving deep into it, to really get the full potential from the imagery. Yes, you can read with it, yes, you can understand it and develop within it, but I think to really get to know it, to really sort of have a real connection, it is about diving deep. So if you check out Sanskrit Blue, you check out Natalie's link, she's going to deal a whole lot more. Okay, that's been a bit longer than I thought to, because I raved about the Star Spider Speaks, one of the best guidebooks I've had that really go into a lot of information in regards to tarot on a sort of a holistic, esoteric aspect as well. Very esoteric in its approach, and I think that's because of the thought-based of it. Anyway, so that's it for me with guidebooks in regards to the tarot deck collection that I have at this time that have come with decent guidebooks. Okay, take care and blessed be. Thank you for being with HeKate's Crossing. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and ring the bell. Don't forget to check my channel so that you can see the links to my blog, etc. And also down below the links to my Patreon and to book a site and my Facebook page as well. You will find me on Instagram and Twitter, and for those links you'll find that on my channel. Anyway, take care and blessed be, and thanks for being with HeKate's Crossing.